Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where we break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. And today we're watching Fulham and Liverpool as Liverpool take their foot off the gas on their way to win a Premier League title. Or are they going to? I'm not sure of the math. I think they need 2 more wins and it's over. But today is a game of, I don't know. It's like, okay, this clip here is going to show you about how intensity in games change and how you start games is very important. And the way that you're moving and playing the ball, you can just see that your team is in for a bad day, right? So let's just look at Liverpool right here. Losing the ball. As they lose the ball, look where the ball is. Have a little look. And we're going to just draw a little line and go, there's no Fulham players in that area there. That's a brilliant drawn line. That's amazing. That one there. You can see that's how much time and space Liverpool have to take a touch, deal with the ball as fast as possible. But they don't. There was a slow jog to the ball, finally gets there, has a little bit of a touch, turns, gives it to his teammate. But look at where the Fulham player started. We saw him, he was over here, and he's managed to get all the way over here before the Liverpool players absolutely done anything on the ball. Now, all of a sudden, remember, if you give it to your teammate here, all right, the first thing that's going to happen is the player pressuring the ball here is just going to go and pressure him here. He can deal with both players because you're so close to each other. And you know when this happens, you go, okay, so you're lazy running to the ball. That's why it's important that you sprint all of the time to those little passes and those little balls, because it gives you the time when you're actually on the ball. People talk about how do these good players create space when they're on the ball. That's one of the key aspects, is you don't have those lazy little runs when you think you've got time and space on the ball. No, you still play at 100%. And that's what helps you out. If you have that little lazy run there, all of a sudden, the next thing you're doing is you're making a lazy pass. Oh, look, and because the momentum on the team is, oh, you're not really running and trying. He's had all the time in the world there just to pass the ball. All the time in the world, just in that little clip. Doesn't do it. And you can see the tempo of the game straight away just from this little clip. The Liverpool just really aren't up to the races just yet. Look how much time he's got. All of a sudden, Draghi, what are you doing? You just saw the player there. He managed to get lost chasing whoever that Liverpool player is over there. And now you're in a situation where they end up winning the ball and it should have been a goal. Is it a goal? No, it's terrible. It's not a goal, but it should have been a goal. Yeah, it should have been a goal. That's just laziness, sheer and utter laziness. So this is Liverpool's first goal. Now, Liverpool don't really win the ball back. Both players here, I think it's Iwobi and Gravenberch, go and whiff the ball. And it just goes underneath them. And it allows Alexi McAllister to pick it up and start running with the football. Now, this is one of those unique things that sounds silly, but it doesn't really happen. There's very few players that pick the ball up in midfield and actually sort of just run down the middle of the field with the ball and make players come towards them. And then they pass it out to where the space is that the players come from. That's a lost art in football nowadays because it's all about your passing lanes and all the other nonsense. But as he breaks here, look, you can see he turns. You can see there's acres and acres of real estate. And what would normally happen, you'd expect to pass up to here. Now, that isn't something that I like. Right? What I like is when you've got grass in front of you, go and eat the grass. Okay, that's the easy pass. The defender is waiting for that. As soon as you get into a zone up here, defenders have to make decisions. And now you're in that zone. Now you're in that area because the midfielder's behind you now. He can't tackle you. Otherwise, it's going to be a yellow card. So here's the problem with the Premier League modern player. These two have a decision to make. Go to the ball or not to go to the ball. You have to go to the ball because what should happen, as soon as he steps towards the ball, he drops into cover from behind him and the two can take the area quite easily. Remember, he doesn't actually have to go so there's one player there and one player there. He should actually just be in a situation where as he pressures the ball there, he'd be there, he drops off and he'd cover there. So that means that he could slide across if needs be, if that player beats him there. That's exactly what should happen. They don't. What they do instead, which is genius modern football, is they both back away and they just let him have all the space in the world. No, off you go, mate. Have a shot. Now he suddenly realizes his mistake and he's trying to block it for no good reason because he's not going to block that shot from there. But again, it's one of the lost arts in football is actually shooting at the goal from outside the 18-yard box. So statistically, they're told not to do it. There's a whole long lead, I could go on that for days and days and days. Well, football was different back then. You would be pressured, so your shot would be under pressure. Nowadays, if you're shooting from outside the 18-yard box, your shot's not under pressure because the defenders are backing away. Nowadays, it's a really good idea to have a shot. And not only that, the other things that happen from it, from goalkeepers saving and rebounds and all those other good things that happen in football from when you shoot, are all advantageous. They just don't do it. And it completely baffles everyone when he just kicks the ball in the goal. Just runs off, straight down, defenders back away, and he just gets to kick the ball in the goal. I mean, it's honestly atrocious defending, but it is the Premier League, so what do you expect? Okay, I want you to watch Andy Robinson having the stinker, another game that he's absolutely stinking it up in. It reminds me of when Kyle Walker started being completely awful. So, right, you see the ball's played. It's on Andy Robinson's side. He's made a little spin run, and he should continue in pressuring the ball there, okay? That's exactly what he should do. He's made the turn, he's made the corner right, he's done everything right there, and he needs to keep running towards the ball. Multiple reasons, okay? He knows chances are if he runs towards the ball, he's going to go down the line past him, okay? But he needs to close that gap between the two players because it is so big. And you can see at this distance, he's trying to jockey, but this guy couldn't care less. All he's looking to do is whip a ball in. He's got all the time and space in the world. If he's under a bit of pressure, now that makes his ball, his delivery probably a little bit off. If he has to go and beat Andy Robinson, it's going to be a little bit different for him to whip it in again. So when he starts pressuring him there, look, and he backs off and turns his back. So this is our first mistake, right? Normally, I used to break down goal for my teams and stuff, and there's normally 3 mistakes that you can stop before the goal happens. Wherever those 3 mistakes are, within about 30 seconds of you conceding a goal, normally they come in 3s. That's the first one right there. Okay. Now, we also want to keep a look on Virgil van Dijk, the most overrated Premier League defender that there is, and then the back post. When this ball comes in, we can see, look, off it's dropping. Konate, is he pushed? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's a foul. The problem nowadays is it going to get called? Goodness knows. Honestly, I just think you flip a coin because VAR pays no attention to the game whatsoever. I honestly think they're on Twitter, and whatever Twitter says they might react to. Other than that, I don't think they have any idea what's going on in a game of football. Now, that might be, I'm not sure on the back post here. I think it might be Curtis Jones. I'm not sure. Or, yeah. But it just bounces off his knee. I mean, this is just, you can say, right, he isn't judging it because he's expecting Konate to head the ball. So he doesn't know in that little tiny space there, he needs to be controlling the ball. But he needs to be expecting that he needs to do something. Doesn't, bounces off him, and it's just terrible. But you can see here, look, Van Dijk's let his man go for a split second. Now he's in panic stations. What does he do? He shouldn't have maybe switched off as well. And that's what I'm talking about in this Liverpool team. It's their standards have been so high for such a long time. When they start slipping a little bit, it goes a lot. And that's what does happen in football when you've been so good for so long. When you've got one little casual person running for the ball and not doing enough work, one little casual touch, then you've got another guy who's casually not marking properly. And then what ends up happening is you can see another goal. Well, first goal, sorry. But let's move it on anyway. Speaking of Andy Robinson stinking it up, here he goes again with another stinker, smashing the ball here. And I'm going to show you from the other angle. He's trying to go here. It's such a misplaced pass. It's unbelievable. But even then, right, so look where he is when this ball's played. You can't see him in the shot. Because there's one thing, even though bad passes and misplays, there's certain things that you can't, you say you can't coach, and you can't really. It's the heart and desire when you make a mistake, or the responsibility there is to try to make up for it. And that's what I'm going to comment a little bit on here as well, because even though he's had a bit of a howler, he's still trying to do the right things and trying to make up for it. But this should have been a goal straight away. But you can tell the quality of the player. I think it's Iwobi here. Just needs to take a touch, and that should be straight in the goal. Look where the goalkeeper is. Have a look. That should be no questions asked. Boom, straight in the goal. Instead, he has a touch which is poor. Look how bad that touch is. It's got all the way up in the air, come all the way back down, and that's enough time for a defender to get in front of him, keeper to get back across in front of the goal, and Andy Robinson is starting to come across. Yeah, but he's not going to get there. But he's trying. He's trying. Now we have a shot. Look, here comes the shot. But this is the other Andy Robinson mistake. So when this shot comes in, you're looking at what happens next, right? Can we deliver this? Can we defend the second ball, or are they going to recycle the second ball and get another opportunity? So we've got to be alive to that. We know that. It's basic football. As the shot's taken, it's spooned up in the air. This is where Andy Robinson needs to jump up and win the header and make up for his mistake. This is the perfect opportunity. Football does that for you as well. When you make a mistake, a lot of the times it just hands you the opportunity to fix it, and then you have to take it and fix that opportunity. Simple. Just run up, head the ball. He doesn't do it. Hits him on the back and bounces to a Fulham teammate. I mean, that's awful. He just got to head the ball. But what did he do? He's turned his back onto it again. What did he do on the cross? Turned his back to it again. He just needed to put his head through that. Off it went, and they would have been absolutely fine. He's made 1, 2 mistakes. It's just not good enough. It really isn't. Little bit of a trickery here, but also Iwobi should have finished it off at the top of the box. His touch wasn't good enough in the first place. Beats his man, kinda, not really. When he pulls the trigger, I think the keeper should do a better job, really. Bump. No one's putting in a challenge. No one's close enough. And Fulham get themselves another one. Just want to show you where Andy Robinson was aiming for. That's where he was aiming for. He was looking to play a sweeping pass over to this side of the field, and somehow he manages to skew it completely and put it to there. I mean, on my left foot on a standing ball, if I had done that, I would have been disappointed. What he's doing with it, I just don't know. Though, speaking of defensive mistakes, here's Van Dijk with another one. He's with his man. It's easy. It's from a Fulham corner. Ball basically just gets recycled, knocked up into the air. There it is. You can see it right there. That's exactly the trajectory it took, by the way. It did exactly that. And then it's going to come down here. But Van Dijk gets bullied here. This just drops as it comes down. Bump. That is a quality. I mean, that is a world-class first touch there. Van Dijk is just done. And that's what I'm talking about switching on. Just doesn't look like he is today. And you do have those games. And what you really want, though, is when you have like you want 3 or 4 errors in one game and none either side of that. You want like the one game, okay, this is where all my mistakes for the season are in this one game. I'm fine with that because you're going to make mistakes throughout the season. If you don't think that, you're ridiculous. If you think you're going to be just some world-class footballer and never make mistakes, you're wrong. You're going to have them. And if they happen all in one game, it's annoying. You look a bit of a prat. But ultimately, as long as they don't happen again next week, you're completely and utterly fine with it. He ends up getting away from Van Dijk way, way too easy. And then it's just a decent finish through the legs. But I want to show you this world-class first touch. You can see Van Dijk's just a little bit too far away from him. And also his foot is underneath right there. And there's the ball. He's going to take a touch and drag it away behind Van Dijk and himself. It's just quality. Boom. There it goes. Do you see that? Off he goes. And then I don't know if he got a little bit of help from Van Dijk kicking him and it made it a little bit of a better, flicking behind, or if even he intended to. Ultimately, I'm giving him credit because it was great. Liverpool do pull a one back near the end. And to be fair, they had a couple of substitutions that changed the game a little bit, but it just wasn't a beat. Craven Cottage is still a tough away ground to go to. But I want to show you that what happens when a player, right back, or someone actually plays right back and then transitions through the lines as the ball's played, right? So what enables you to do, your starting position is very, very important. If your starting position is up here, it makes the ball is going to travel all the way over here, and it's much, much easier for the defenders to come and close you down. If you can ping the ball on the ground, the ball can travel faster. And also, you can, when you're making that run in the inside here, watch this, as this ball comes in, boom, 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 much faster, harder to break down. Now, because of their starting positions, you can run wide instead of being wide. The difference is, as you run wide, you pull players with you. If you're already wide, they've already dealt with you. They'll pull another player back and they'll all be set, and it's easy. So when you're running wide now, well, that enables, because that pulls the player away to enable the space through the middle. So starting positions are very, very important. And I see this, with lots of Premier League teams, because I go back to none of these coaches can coach football. They genuinely can't. So they think that if you're in a set, your system's set. Man City are great for this, by the way. Oh, our system's set and we can't break them down. Yeah, because you can't have any movement. There's nowhere for them to go because your starting positions are all wrong. And when you start moving, when there's dynamic movement like this, defenders have to go with players. They get pulled around. They don't have to. They do it subconsciously. And all of a sudden, goal-scoring opportunities arise. As he starts running down the middle of the field, look, you can see he's running towards Mo Salah. Why are you going towards Mo Salah? Oh, because it's Mo Salah. I totally understand. But do you know what? There's the football. If you just held your shape and stood there, he probably would have lost the ball. But the modern footballer doesn't know that the football is involved in the game. They genuinely don't. They go, your job's to mark Mo Salah. All right, I'll mark Mo. There's a football there. Go win it. No, but I was told to mark Mo Salah. Yeah, but you've made a massive gap in the middle. Oh, reminds me of a story. I was coaching some, I can't remember what tier football in the UK. Just come back from somewhere. And they asked me to help. And I was yelling at the centre midfielder. And it's a classic modern football. He's about 26, 28 years old. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm marking their best player. I'm like, he's not getting the ball. Every time you run out of midfield, they walk through the middle of our field and kick it in our goal. Stay in the middle of the field. The manager got mad at me and went, Oh, you're sending too many mixed signals. What? To keep our centre midfielder in centre midfield instead of chasing their player all over the place. Well, he goes, oh, yeah, I did a good job. He never touched the ball. Yeah, but we lost 4-0. Great, their best player never touched the ball. And if he had, we would have lost 9-0. Like, stay in your position. Know what you're doing. Classic example right here of somebody not knowing what they're doing and opening up that gap through the middle of his whole team. As he goes, boom, 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 boom. Now look, a covering defender has to come over and cover because he's been pulled wide because Mo Salah's starting position was here, running out, pulling him out because he's an idiot. And then all of a sudden, another defender has to come across and cover, who was covering Luis Diaz. Now, Luis Diaz gets a touch and just pokes it with his toe. It's terrible defending. I mean, to concede that goal is pretty poor. You've made all of these mistakes and you've let Liverpool score on you because you don't know that you should hold your shape and defend the football. You've run over to Mark. Okay, he might be one of the best players in the world, but he doesn't have the football yet. And when the ball gets passed, that's the time you can run and you can go over and get close and tight to him. Shocking from Fulham. But other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Yells at Premier League Defenders.